What if the thing holding you back isn't lack of talent, time, or motivation, but a silent habit that's been running the show all along? There's a quiet thief among us, one that doesn't announce its presence but steadily steals from our time, potential, and peace of mind. It doesn't wear a mask or make demands. Instead, it whispers in your ear late at night, "You can do it tomorrow." That voice belongs to procrastination. But here's something most people don't realize: procrastination isn't laziness. It's not a character flaw, nor is it a sign of weakness. It's a habit. A deeply ingrained pattern of behavior that masquerades as self-preservation but actually robs you of progress, clarity, and control over your life. In this audiobook, Become Unstoppable, Break Free from Procrastination and Build Lasting Momentum, you'll discover how to finally break free from the cycle of delay, not with willpower alone, but with powerful, science-backed strategies that help you build unstoppable momentum, one small step at a time. If you're tired of starting strong and fading fast, if you're ready to build habits that stick and take consistent action toward the life you want, this book is for you. Listen to the full audiobook by clicking the link in the description below. And if you find value in this content, consider supporting my work with a small token of appreciation, whether it's liking the video, sharing it with someone who needs it, or contributing through the link. Every bit helps me keep creating resources like this. Let's get started on building the unstoppable version of you. Chapter 1: Why Your Brain Loves to Be Lazy. Understanding the science behind procrastination. You wake up with intention. The plan is clear. You've got a goal, a task that matters, and you're ready to take action. But then something strange happens. As soon as you sit down to begin, your mind goes blank. A wave of resistance rises from within. Suddenly, everything else becomes more urgent: checking social media, replying to old emails, organizing your desk, or scrolling endlessly through YouTube videos. You're not lazy. You're not broken. What's happening is completely natural. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from discomfort, conserve energy, and seek pleasure over pain. But here's the problem: this ancient mechanism doesn't serve us well in the modern world. Your brain evolved over thousands of years to survive on the savannas of Africa, where danger came in the form of predators and scarcity. It learned to avoid unnecessary effort, prioritize immediate rewards, and steer clear of uncertainty, all to keep you alive. Today, however, those same instincts are working against you. They sabotage your goals, derail your plans, and trick you into believing you'll feel more motivated tomorrow. Let's understand why. The two minds inside you. To grasp the root of procrastination, we need to look at two distinct parts of your brain. 1. The survival brain. Also known as the limbic system, this is the oldest and most primal part of your brain. It includes structures like the amygdala, which processes fear, the hypothalamus, which regulates stress hormones, and the nucleus accumbens, the brain's reward center. Its job: to ensure survival by avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, reacting quickly to threats, conserving energy whenever possible. In short, it wants comfort, safety, and instant gratification. 2. The goal-driven mind. This is your prefrontal cortex, the newer, rational part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, self-control, and long-term thinking. It's the part that sets goals, creates to-do lists, and dreams about the future. It wants progress, growth, and fulfillment. These two minds are constantly negotiating control. When you're trying to work on an important project, your prefrontal cortex says, "This is important. Let's focus." But your limbic system pushes back with, "This feels hard. I don't like this. Let's check Reddit instead." And 9 times out of 10, the limbic system wins, not because it's smarter, but because it's faster and stronger. Why action feels harder than inaction. One of the biggest misconceptions about procrastination is that it's about poor time management. But science tells us otherwise. Procrastination isn't a time issue, it's a mood regulation issue. Psychologists refer to this as temporal discounting, our tendency to favor smaller, immediate rewards over larger, delayed ones. That's why choosing to watch Netflix right now feels more satisfying than studying for a test next week. Even worse, tasks that feel overwhelming, boring, or emotionally charged trigger what neuroscientists call task aversion. The brain literally experiences these tasks as painful, even if they're not physically harmful. Studies using fMRI scans show that simply thinking about a dreaded task activates regions of the brain associated with physical pain. So when you say, "I can't face this today," your brain isn't exaggerating, you're actually experiencing discomfort. And what does your brain do when faced with discomfort? It avoids it. That's how procrastination starts, not with laziness, but with a protective reflex gone rogue. The vicious cycle of avoidance. Avoidance may offer temporary relief, but it comes at a cost. Every time you delay a task, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine, the so-called feel-good neurotransmitter. This makes procrastination feel rewarding in the short term, reinforcing the behavior. But here's the catch: the longer you avoid the task, the heavier it becomes in your mind. Guilt creeps in. Anxiety builds. Stress increases. Eventually, the task looms so large in your thoughts that just thinking about it causes dread. And the cycle repeats. Avoidance, temporary relief, emotional backlash, guilt, anxiety, more avoidance, bigger task, even more fear, repeat. This is the procrastination trap. It's not that you don't want to do the work. It's that the emotional weight of the task has become unbearable. And until you learn how to manage that weight, you'll continue to push things off, no matter how much you tell yourself, just start. How motivation really works. Here's a truth that contradicts everything we've been taught. Motivation follows action, not the other way around. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act. But inspiration rarely arrives uninvited. It usually shows up after you've already started moving. Think of motivation like a light switch. You can't flip it on from across the room, you have to walk over and turn it on manually. Action is the manual switch. Even tiny actions, like opening a document, setting a timer for 5 minutes, or writing one sentence, can trigger a cascade of momentum. Once you begin, the brain shifts from avoidance mode into engagement mode. Suddenly, the task doesn't seem so bad. The words start flowing. The ideas click. The process unfolds. That's the power of starting. Rewiring the brain, from resistance to rhythm. The good news is that your brain is not fixed. It's plastic, meaning it can change and adapt based on experience. Neuroplasticity allows you to build new habits, create fresh neural pathways, and override old patterns of procrastination. But rewiring your brain doesn't happen overnight. It requires consistent, intentional practice. Here's how to start. 1. Make tasks smaller. Break big projects into micro-actions. Instead of write a report, try open the document and write the title. Small wins build confidence and momentum. 2. Design for action. Create environments that encourage productivity. Turn off notifications, set up a dedicated workspace, and use visual cues like sticky notes or habit trackers. 3. Use rituals. Rituals signal to your brain that it's time to work. Whether it's making coffee before writing, lighting a candle before studying, or putting on noise-canceling headphones before coding, rituals prime your brain for focus. 4. Reward progress, not perfection. Celebrate every step forward, no matter how small. Completion beats perfection every day of the week. 5. Practice showing up. Show up consistently, even when you don't feel like it. The more you choose action over avoidance, the easier it becomes. Over time, consistency becomes habit. You're not lazy. You're not undisciplined. You're not broken. You're simply dealing with a brain that evolved for survival, not productivity. And that's okay. Now that you understand how your brain works, you can begin to work with it instead of against it. You can design systems that support action. You can build rituals that trigger focus. You can rewire old patterns with new behaviors. And most importantly, you can stop waiting for motivation and start building momentum, because action is the real driver of progress. In the next chapter, we'll explore the hidden emotions behind procrastination, how fear, perfectionism, and self-doubt masquerade as excuses, and how you can finally break free from them. Let's keep going. Chapter 2, The 5-Second Trick to Beat Hesitation. How to act before your brain talks you out of it. Imagine this: you wake up in the morning, determined to start your day right. You've set a goal, go for a run, begin working on that report, or finally clean out that cluttered inbox. You think about it. You want to do it. But then, nothing happens. Your brain starts whispering familiar doubts. Maybe later. I'll do it after I check my phone. I should wait until I feel more motivated. And just like that, the moment passes. What you just experienced wasn't laziness, it was hesitation. That tiny gap between thinking about doing something and actually doing it. And in that gap, your brain has a dangerous habit: it talks you out of taking action. But what if you could close that gap? What if there was a simple, scientifically proven way to stop hesitation before it derails you? There is. It's called the 5-second rule, and it's not about dropping food on the floor. This chapter will teach you how to use a quick mental reset to shut down hesitation, override self-doubt, and trigger immediate action every time. Let's dive in. The science behind the gap. Before we talk about the trick itself, let's understand why hesitation exists, and why it's so dangerous. Psychologists call this brief pause between intention and action the readiness potential. It's the moment when your brain prepares to move. Unfortunately, it's also the moment when your inner critic shows up. That voice in your head, the one that says things like, "You're not ready. What if you fail? Maybe this isn't the right time." That voice doesn't appear out of nowhere. It's part of your brain's natural defense system, designed to keep you safe by avoiding perceived threats. Only now, instead of protecting you from danger, it's keeping you stuck. The longer you stay in that gap, the more power that voice gains. And once it takes over, action becomes nearly impossible. So here's the key insight. Hesitation doesn't last long, but it does lasting damage. In fact, studies show that hesitation typically lasts only 5 seconds. That's it. 5 seconds between wanting to act and deciding not to. Which means you don't need hours of willpower or motivation to overcome procrastination. You just need 5 seconds. The 5-second rule, a simple reset for instant action. The 5-second rule was developed by motivational speaker Mel Robbins, who discovered its power during a difficult period in her own life. She noticed that when she felt resistance to doing something important, like getting out of bed or making a tough phone call, she would hesitate. And in that hesitation, she'd lose momentum. One day, while watching a rocket launch countdown on TV, she realized something: rockets don't hesitate. They count down, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So she tried it herself. She began counting down from 5 every time she felt resistance. And it worked. Here's how it works. When you feel the urge to act, or the urge to avoid, stop. Don't think. Don't analyze. Don't hesitate. Simply count down from 5 to 1 in your head. As soon as you say 1, take action, any action. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. That's it. No debate. No discussion. No permission needed. Just movement. Why it works? The 5-second rule works because it interrupts the brain's default mode of hesitation. It forces your brain into action before it can come up with an excuse. Think of it like a manual override switch for your survival brain. Instead of letting your limbic system, the emotional, fear-based part of your brain, hijack your decision-making, you activate your prefrontal cortex, the rational, goal-oriented part. You shift from emotion to action. From doubt to movement. From thinking to doing. Over time, using the 5-second rule builds a new neural pathway in your brain. Instead of automatically hesitating, you start acting first. You train yourself to respond to discomfort with action, not avoidance. And that's where real change begins. How to use the 5-second rule in real life. Let's look at some practical examples of how to apply this trick to everyday situations. When you want to get out of bed, instead of lying there debating whether to get up, try this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Then immediately swing your legs over the side of the bed and stand up. When you need to start working, don't wait for motivation. Just count down and open your laptop. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Even opening a blank document counts. Momentum builds from motion. When you want to exercise, instead of thinking about it, just put on your shoes and step outside. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Once you're moving, your body follows. When you need to make a tough call, instead of rehearsing what to say, just pick up the phone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Action kills anxiety. Building the habit of immediate response. Like any habit, the 5-second rule gets stronger with practice. At first, it might feel awkward or forced. You may catch yourself forgetting to use it. Or you might resist it entirely, preferring the comfort of old patterns. That's normal. But every time you use the rule, you reinforce a new pattern in your brain. Over time, hesitation shrinks. Action becomes automatic. Soon, instead of waiting for the perfect moment, you'll learn to create it by simply counting down and going. That's the beauty of this trick. It's not complicated. It doesn't require special tools or motivation. It just requires you to interrupt hesitation before it takes control. Hesitation is the silent killer of goals. It doesn't shout or scream. It doesn't demand attention. It just creeps in quietly and steals your progress without you even realizing it. But now you have a weapon against it. A simple, powerful, science-backed method to shut down hesitation before it derails you. The next time you feel yourself resisting action, whether it's starting work, speaking up, or facing a challenge, try this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Count down. Move. Take action. Because hesitation only wins when you let it linger. And now, you know exactly how to stop it, in 5 seconds or less. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to build unstoppable daily routines that make action effortless, even when motivation is gone. Let's keep building momentum. Chapter 3, How to Start When You Don't Feel Like It. The art of starting small and building momentum. Let's be honest. There are days when you don't feel like doing anything. You wake up tired, unmotivated, or overwhelmed. The idea of tackling your goals feels like climbing a mountain in flip-flops. Even small tasks seem exhausting. And yet, you still have things to do. Deadlines to meet. Dreams to chase. Responsibilities to fulfill. So how do you push forward on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found? Simple, you don't wait for motivation. You create it through action. Because here's the truth. Motivation follows movement. Not the other way around. This chapter will teach you how to start, even when you don't feel like it. We'll explore why waiting for inspiration is a trap, how tiny actions unlock momentum, and how to design your work so it becomes nearly impossible to resist. Let's begin. Why waiting for motivation is a trap. Most people believe they need to feel motivated before taking action. They think, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll begin once I have more energy. I'll work on it when I'm inspired. But this mindset sets you up for failure. Why? Because motivation is not a reliable source of action. It's fickle. It comes and goes. Some days, it arrives uninvited. Other days, it disappears without explanation. If you wait until you feel like working, you'll spend most of your life waiting. That's why real progress doesn't come from waiting for inspiration, it comes from discipline. From showing up even when you don't feel like it. From doing something, anything, when your brain tells you to stop. Because once you move, momentum begins. The power of starting small. Here's a secret that very few people talk about. You don't need to do much to get started. Just enough. In fact, the smaller your first step, the easier it is to take it. Think of it like lighting a match in a dark room. One tiny spark can illuminate everything. Or like pushing a boulder at the top of a hill. At first, it takes effort. But once it starts rolling, gravity takes over. That's how momentum works. And the best way to build momentum is by reducing resistance. Reduce resistance by shrinking the task. Resistance is what stops you before you even begin. It shows up as overwhelm, doubt, fatigue, fear of failure, perfectionism. To beat it, you have to shrink the task down to its simplest form, the smallest possible action you can take right now. Examples. Want to write an article? Write one sentence. Want to exercise? Do one push-up. Want to clean your room? Pick up one item off the floor. Want to study? Open the book and read one paragraph. Want to make a tough call? Press the dial button. Make the task so easy that saying no feels ridiculous. This strategy is based on what behavioral scientist B.J. Fogg calls the tiny habits method, the idea that small wins lead to big changes over time. By focusing only on the next micro-action, you bypass hesitation and trick your brain into cooperating. And once you've taken that first step, guess what happens? Your brain says, well, I'm already doing this, might as well keep going. Momentum kicks in once you begin. One of the most misunderstood laws of human behavior is this. Motion creates emotion. Action creates motivation. When you sit down to write just one sentence, you often end up writing a whole page. When you do one push-up, you usually do 10 more. When you open the book, you find yourself reading 3 chapters. That's the magic of momentum. Once you overcome the initial resistance, your brain shifts gears. The emotional weight of the task lightens. Focus kicks in. Progress builds upon itself. This is why starting is always the hardest part, and also the most important. How to design your work for easy starts. Now that you understand the power of small beginnings, let's talk about how to set yourself up for success. Here's how to design your work so that starting becomes effortless, even on the worst days. 1. Create a starting ritual. A ritual signals to your brain that it's time to focus. It could be making a cup of coffee before writing, lighting a candle before studying, putting on noise-canceling headphones before working, doing a quick stretch before exercising. Rituals prime your brain for action and reduce decision fatigue. 2. Set a micro-goal. Instead of thinking about the whole project, focus only on the first step. For example, instead of write a report, say open the document and type the title. Instead of clean the entire house, say pick up one thing from the living room. Make your goal so small that there's zero reason to delay it. 3. Use the 5-minute rule. Tell yourself you'll work on something for just 5 minutes. Most of the time, once the timer goes off, you'll want to keep going. Why? Because your brain hates unfinished tasks. Once you begin, it wants to see it through. 4. Prepare the night before. Reduce friction by preparing your workspace or tools the night before. Have your laptop open, your notebook ready, your gym clothes laid out. All you have to do in the morning is show up. 5. Track your progress visually. Use a habit tracker, checklist, or calendar to mark each day you complete your small action. Visual proof of progress motivates you to keep going, even when you're not feeling it. You don't need motivation to start. You just need to start. And once you do, motivation will follow. Because action is the antidote to procrastination. Momentum is the result of motion. And consistency beats inspiration every single day. So the next time you don't feel like working, don't argue with your brain. Just pick the smallest possible step. Take it. Then keep going. Chapter 4: How to trick yourself into loving hard work. Rewiring your brain to crave effort. Most people believe that hard work is something to endure, not enjoy. They see it as a burden, a necessary evil on the path to success. They push through gritted teeth, hoping one day they'll make it and never have to work this hard again. But what if you could change that? What if hard work didn't feel like punishment, but progress? What if effort felt satisfying instead of exhausting? What if you actually looked forward to challenges rather than avoiding them? It's not only possible, it's entirely within your control. This chapter will show you how to trick your brain into loving hard work by reframing effort as growth, building identity-based habits, gamifying tasks to make them fun, creating an environment that rewards action. Let's dive in. Why hard work feels like suffering, and how to change that. Your brain is wired to avoid discomfort. That's why hard work often feels bad. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, demands energy, and triggers fear of failure. But here's the secret no one tells you. Hard work doesn't have to feel heavy, it only feels that way when it lacks meaning. When you don't see the point, effort feels pointless. When there's no reward, effort feels unrewarding. When there's no progress, effort feels punishing. So how do you make hard work feel lighter? You give it purpose. You attach value to it. You train your brain to associate effort with growth, not pain. That's the first step in learning to love hard work. Shift your identity. Become someone who embraces challenge. One of the most powerful tools for changing behavior is identity. Think about it. If you see yourself as someone who works hard, stays disciplined, learns from failure, pushes through difficulty, then acting in alignment with that identity becomes effortless. Psychologist Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." In other words, your beliefs about who you are shape everything you do, even your relationship with hard work. So ask yourself, do I see myself as someone who avoids effort? Or do I see myself as someone who shows up, works hard, and gets results? The more you align your actions with the latter identity, the easier hard work becomes. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reinforce that new self-image. Every time you finish a tough task, you prove to yourself that you're capable. Eventually, hard work stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like part of who you are. Make it fun. The power of gamification. Here's a surprising truth. Your brain doesn't care how hard something is, if it feels rewarding. That's why people can spend hours playing video games that are difficult, complex, and even frustrating, but still find them enjoyable. Why? Because games use feedback loops, progress indicators, and immediate rewards, things our brains absolutely love. You can apply the same principles to real-life work. This is called gamification, and it's one of the best ways to trick yourself into enjoying hard work. Here's how to do it. 1. Break tasks into levels. Instead of seeing a big project as one overwhelming whole, divide it into smaller stages or levels. Each level completed brings you closer to mastery. Example. Level 1. Outline your presentation. Level 2. Create slides. Level 3. Practice delivery. Level 4. Present confidently. Celebrate each level like a win. 2. Track progress visually. Use habit trackers, checklists, or progress bars to visually show how far you've come. Seeing progress, even small, activates dopamine and keeps you motivated. 3. Create mini challenges. Turn repetitive tasks into challenges. Can I clean the kitchen in 15 minutes? Can I write 500 words before my next coffee break? Can I finish this report before lunch? Add a timer, set a goal, and beat your own record. 4. Reward yourself strategically. Give yourself small, meaningful rewards after completing tough tasks. Not extravagant ones, just things that make the process more enjoyable. A 5-minute stretch break. A favorite snack. A short walk outside. A few minutes of music or podcast time. These tiny wins keep your brain engaged and eager to continue. Design your environment to reward action. Your surroundings play a massive role in shaping your behavior. If your workspace is cluttered, distracting, or uncomfortable, you'll resist working. If it's organized, inspiring, and designed for focus, you'll naturally want to stay in it longer. Here's how to design your environment to make hard work feel more rewarding. 1. Remove distractions. Put your phone on silent. Close unnecessary browser tabs. Use apps like Freedom or Focus at Will to block distractions. Make your environment work for you, not against you. 2. Create visual cues. Surround yourself with reminders of your goals. Vision boards. Daily affirmations. Quotes that inspire you. A list of reasons why your work matters. These cues remind your brain that effort leads to something bigger. 3. Set up a victory zone. Designate a space where you go only to do focused, productive work. Over time, your brain associates that space with effort and achievement, making it easier to get into flow. 4. Use music or background noise. Studies show that the right kind of music or ambient noise can boost concentration and reduce mental fatigue. Find what works for you: lo-fi beats, classical music, nature sounds, and use it strategically. Loving hard work isn't about being superhuman. It's about rewiring your brain to see effort as a sign of growth, not punishment. It's about shifting your identity so that working hard becomes part of who you are, not just what you do. It's about making the process enjoyable, through gamification, celebration, and environment design. And most importantly, it's about understanding that effort doesn't have to feel heavy. It just needs to feel meaningful. Once you start seeing hard work as a path to progress, not a barrier to happiness, you'll begin craving it. And when that happens, nothing can stop you. Chapter 5, The Identity Shift, Becoming an Action Taker. Who you believe you are determines what you do. Let's begin with a simple but profound truth. You don't do what you believe you are. You do what you believe you are. If you see yourself as someone who is always late, can't stick to routines, procrastinates constantly, lacks discipline, then your actions will align with that self-image, whether you like it or not. But here's the good news. You can change your habits by changing your identity. Because behavior follows belief. And once you shift how you see yourself, from a procrastinator to a person of action, you'll find that doing hard things becomes easier. Not because the tasks have changed, but because you have. This chapter will show you how to make that transformation real, how to become the kind of person who takes action without hesitation, even when things get tough. Let's begin. Why identity shapes your behavior. Most people try to change their lives through goals and willpower. They set New Year's resolutions. They create elaborate to-do lists. They download productivity apps and read dozens of self-help books. And yet, nothing changes. Why? Because they're trying to change their behavior without changing who they believe they are. Psychologists call this identity-based habit formation, a powerful framework that explains why some people stick to new behaviors while others fall back into old patterns. Here's how it works. When you adopt a new identity, like I am a writer, I am disciplined, or I am an action taker, your brain begins to align your choices with that belief. Suddenly, skipping the gym doesn't fit who you are anymore. Putting off work feels out of character. Discipline isn't something you force, it becomes part of your daily rhythm. That's the power of identity. It's not about doing more. It's about being different. And once you start seeing yourself differently, your actions follow. How to change your identity in 3 steps. Changing your identity isn't about wishful thinking or positive affirmations alone. It's about proving to yourself, through small, consistent actions, that you are becoming someone new. Here's how to do it. 1. Decide who you want to become. Start by defining the identity you want to adopt. Be specific. Instead of saying, I want to be productive, say, I am someone who starts before I'm ready. I am an action taker. I take small steps every day toward my goals. Write it down. Say it out loud. Let it sink in. This is your new self-concept, the foundation for lasting change. 2. Act like that person every day. Your brain doesn't care what you say, you must prove it with action. Every time you choose to Start working instead of scrolling. Make the call instead of avoiding it. Show up on time even when you're tired. You reinforce your new identity. Small actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they build undeniable proof that you are becoming the person you want to be. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. 3. Rewrite your story. The stories we tell ourselves shape our reality. If your internal narrative is filled with phrases like, "I've always been lazy," "I can never stick to anything," "I'm just not built for this kind of work," then no amount of planning or motivation will help you change. So rewrite the story. Instead of saying, "I always fail," say, "I learn from setbacks and keep going." Instead of saying, "I'm not a morning person," say, "I'm training myself to wake up early." Instead of saying, "I'm a procrastinator," say, "I used to delay things, but now I take action." Every time you catch yourself slipping into the old story, pause and correct it. Speak to yourself like someone who already believes in your potential. Because you are. Small actions build identity daily. One of the biggest mistakes people make is waiting for a dramatic life event to become someone new. They think, "Once I lose 20 pounds, I'll be healthy. Once I land my dream job, I'll be confident. Once I finish this project, I'll be successful." But identity doesn't change overnight. It builds gradually, through daily decisions. Each time you act like the person you want to become, you strengthen that identity. Over time, those small actions compound into automatic habits. And when action becomes automatic, identity becomes unshakable. Think of it like building muscle, not all at once, but through repeated effort. Each rep makes you stronger. Each day of consistency makes the new you more real. Eventually, you won't just do the right thing, you'll be the kind of person who does it. Consistency builds automaticity. There's a powerful psychological principle called automaticity, the point at which a behavior becomes so ingrained that you do it without thinking. Brushing your teeth? Automatic. Driving a car? Automatic after practice. Checking your phone first thing in the morning? Automatic. Action taking can be automatic too, if you practice it consistently. At first, it takes effort. You have to remind yourself. You have to use tools like the 5-second rule, micro goals, and environment design. But eventually, taking action becomes second nature. You stop needing motivation. You stop hesitating. You stop making excuses. Because now, acting without delay is just who you are. That's the ultimate goal of identity-based change, not to force yourself to do better, but to become someone who naturally does what needs to be done. You are not stuck. You are not broken. You are not destined to repeat the same patterns forever. You simply believed a story about yourself, and your actions follow that belief. Now, you have the power to change that. By choosing a new identity and proving it through daily action, you can become the kind of person who takes initiative, faces challenges head-on, shows up even when it's hard, makes progress without waiting for inspiration. And once that identity is solidified, procrastination loses its grip on your life. Because now, taking action is who you are. Chapter 6: How to Keep Going Every Day. Building routines that outlast motivation. You've taken the first step. You've embraced the identity of an action taker. You've learned how to beat hesitation, start small, and rewire your brain to love effort. You're showing up, doing the work, and making progress, even when you don't feel like it. But here's the next challenge. How do you keep going? Because no matter how strong your mindset or how powerful your tools, there will be days when you feel tired. You lose interest. You face setbacks. You wonder if all this effort is worth it. And that's where most people fall off track, not because they lack talent or knowledge, but because they didn't build systems strong enough to outlast their emotions. The secret to long-term success isn't intensity. It's consistency. It's not about burning bright for 1 week and fading out the next. It's about showing up every day, or as often as possible, and doing just enough to keep moving forward. This chapter will teach you how to build routines that make action automatic, even when motivation is gone. We'll explore why consistency beats intensity every time, how to design daily rituals that support long-term growth, why small wins are more powerful than big bursts of effort, and how progress compounds over time into massive results. Let's dive in. Consistency beats intensity. Here's a truth many people refuse to accept. Extreme effort rarely leads to lasting change. You can wake up at 5 a.m. for 3 days straight and feel amazing. But if you burn out on day 4 and sleep until noon for the next week, what have you really built? Nothing sustainable. On the other hand, someone who wakes up at 7 a.m. every single day, even if they're tired, even if they don't feel inspired, is building something real. That's the difference between intensity and consistency. Intensity gives you a short-term high. Consistency gives you long-term results. Think of it like compound interest in finance. A small amount of money invested regularly over time grows exponentially. The same principle applies to personal growth. A little bit done consistently becomes a lot over time. Create structure so action becomes the norm. One of the biggest myths about productivity is that it comes from willpower. In reality, willpower is limited. Emotion is unpredictable. Discipline is rare. What works best? Structure. When you design your life with clear routines, habits, and boundaries, action becomes the default, not the exception. Here's how to create structure that supports daily consistency. 1. Build a morning routine. Your morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. A consistent morning routine helps you start strong, even when you don't feel like it. Examples. Wake up at the same time. Drink water immediately after waking. Do a 5-minute stretch or meditation. Review your top priority for the day. Start with just 1 or 2 simple actions and build from there. 2. Schedule your most important work. Don't rely on someday or when I feel like it. Put your most important tasks on your calendar like appointments. Treat them with the same respect you'd give a meeting with your boss or a doctor's visit. If it's not scheduled, it won't happen. 3. Design a daily shutdown ritual. Just like a startup ritual, a shutdown ritual signals to your brain that it's time to wind down. Example. Turn off screens. Write a short reflection on what you accomplished. Plan tomorrow's top task. Practice gratitude by listing 3 things you're grateful for. This helps you end the day with clarity and purpose. 4. Use visual cues and habit trackers. Visual reminders help reinforce consistency. A habit tracker on your wall. A checklist on your desk. Sticky notes with motivational quotes. These cues remind your brain that showing up matters, no matter how small the win. Celebrate small wins to stay motivated. Motivation doesn't last forever. But celebration does. Every time you complete a task, even a tiny one, you should acknowledge it. Not with a party, unless you want to, but with a moment of recognition. Why? Because celebration releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. It makes you feel good and encourages you to repeat the behavior. Here's how to celebrate effectively. 1. Track your progress visually. Use a habit tracker, journal, or app to mark each completed action. Seeing your streak grow motivates you to protect it. 2. Say good job out loud. Give yourself verbal praise. It sounds silly, but research shows that self-talk has a powerful effect on performance and confidence. Try saying, "Nice job getting started. I'm proud of myself for showing up." Another step closer. 3. Create milestone rewards. Set small milestones and reward yourself when you hit them. After 10 consecutive days of writing, treat yourself to a favorite meal. After finishing a project, take a half day off. After sticking to your workout plan for a month, buy new gear. Make your progress feel rewarding. Progress compounds over time. Let's talk numbers for a second. If you improve by just 1% per day, Over the course of a year, you'll be 37x better than where you started. That's the power of compounding growth. Each small action adds up. Each decision reinforces the next. Each day builds upon the previous one. You don't need dramatic breakthroughs. You just need to keep going. And over time, the cumulative effect of your daily efforts becomes unstoppable. Remember, one page written today turns into a book in a year. One push-up today becomes a stronger body in 6 months. One difficult conversation today builds confidence for years. Progress compounds when you stay consistent. Staying consistent isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. Even when you don't feel like it. Even when you're tired. Even when you don't see immediate results. Because consistency doesn't ask for brilliance, it only asks for presence. And every time you show up, you're proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. So don't worry about being intense. Focus on being consistent. Design your life around daily rituals. Celebrate small wins. Build momentum through repetition. Because over time, those small actions add up to extraordinary results. Chapter 7: The Power of Deadlines. Why time limits force action. Have you ever noticed how a task that could take an hour stretches into days when there's no deadline? You start with good intentions. You plan to get it done soon. But without urgency, distractions creep in. Other tasks pile up. Motivation fades. And before you know it, the project is still sitting untouched. Now imagine this scenario instead. You have a meeting in 2 hours where you must present your work. Suddenly, everything changes. Your mind sharpens. Distractions disappear. You find clarity, focus, and even energy you didn't know you had. That's the magic of deadlines. They don't just mark time, they create action. In this chapter, we'll explore why deadlines are so powerful, how they force clarity and urgency, and how you can use them, even when no one else is holding you accountable, to stay focused, eliminate procrastination, and get things done. Let's begin. Why deadlines are the ultimate productivity hack. Most people see deadlines as stress-inducing obligations. But what if I told you they're actually your best friend? Deadlines are not just about pressure, they're about clarity, focus, and results. Here's why. 1. Deadlines create urgency. Without a clear end point, tasks expand indefinitely. Parkinson's law states, work expands so as to fill the time available for its completion. Give yourself a week to write a report, and it'll take a week. Give yourself a day, and it'll still get done, but faster, sharper, and more focused. Urgency forces efficiency. 2. Deadlines cut through distractions. When time is limited, you stop wasting it. You prioritize. You eliminate fluff. You make decisions quickly instead of endlessly tweaking details. Suddenly, checking social media or answering every email feels like a luxury you can't afford. Because you're on the clock. 3. Deadlines trigger action. Motivation often arrives too late, or not at all. But deadlines don't wait for inspiration. They demand movement. They push you to start before you're ready, to act even when you're unsure. And once you start, momentum takes over. How to use deadlines when no one else is holding you accountable. The real challenge comes when you're working on something without external deadlines, like personal goals, creative projects, or self-improvement plans. There's no boss checking in. No teacher assigning due dates. No team depending on you. And that's exactly when procrastination loves to strike. But here's the secret. Self-imposed deadlines work just as well if you treat them like real ones. Here's how to do it. 1. Break big projects into smaller, time-bound chunks. Instead of saying, I need to finish this book, break it down. Week 1, outline the chapters. Week 2 to 3, write chapter 1, deadline, Friday. Week 4, edit chapter 1, deadline, Monday. Each mini deadline creates structure and progress. 2. Set public commitments. Tell someone about your deadline, your partner, a friend, a colleague, or even your audience if you're working on a public goal. Public accountability increases commitment. Or better yet, join a group or community where others are also working towards similar goals. Knowing others are watching helps you stay on track. 3. Use a calendar like a CEO. Treat your time like a business meeting. Schedule your tasks with specific start and end times. Block off your calendar for deep work. Set alarms. Treat your own deadlines like appointments. If it's not on your calendar, it won't happen. 4. Create consequences for missing deadlines. Motivation comes from consequences, not just rewards. What happens if you don't meet your deadline? Do you owe a friend $20? Do you miss out on a personal reward? Do you post publicly about missing your goal? Make the cost of delay real enough to matter. Even small consequences create powerful motivation. The psychology behind effective deadlines. Let's dive deeper into the science behind why deadlines work so well. Your brain loves boundaries. Without limits, your brain gets overwhelmed by choices. Too many options lead to decision fatigue, and eventually, inaction. Deadlines provide boundaries. They tell your brain what matters now, what to focus on, what to ignore. Clarity leads to action. Hourglass not done. Time pressure boosts creativity. Contrary to popular belief, creativity thrives under constraints. Think of artists painting murals in a single weekend. Or writers finishing novels in 30 days. Or entrepreneurs launching startups in 90 days. Time pressure forces innovation. It pushes you to simplify, prioritize, and execute. Deadlines reduce perfectionism. Perfectionists often delay starting because they fear imperfection. But when a deadline looms, perfectionism loses power. You learn to accept good enough today rather than waiting for perfect tomorrow. And guess what? Most of the time, good enough turns into something great once you start refining it. Deadlines aren't punishments. They're tools. Tools that help you focus, prioritize, and move forward even when you don't feel like it. Whether they're set by someone else or created by you, deadlines force action. They cut through distractions, spark urgency, and drive results. So the next time you find yourself stuck on a project with no end in sight, ask yourself, what deadline would make this real? Then set it. Treat it like law. And watch your productivity soar. Chapter 8, The No Plan B Trick. Commitment that drives results. At some point, someone probably told you, always have a backup plan. It's smart. It's safe. But what if that advice was holding you back? What if having a plan B wasn't a safety net, but an escape hatch? Because here's the truth. A backup plan gives your brain permission to fail. It whispers in your ear when things get hard. If this doesn't work out, I can always fall back. I don't have to give it my all. There's always another way. And just like that, your level of commitment drops. You stop pushing through resistance. You stop solving problems creatively. You stop going all in. That's why so many people never reach their full potential, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they gave themselves an easy way out. In this chapter, we'll explore how removing escape routes forces total commitment, and how that kind of dedication unlocks hidden strength, creativity, and results. Let's dive in. Why having a backup plan sabotages success. Psychologists call this phenomenon the goal dilution effect. When you hold on to multiple paths at once, your focus spreads thin. Your effort becomes half-hearted. Your determination weakens. Think of it like trying to row a boat with two sets of oars going in different directions. You won't go anywhere fast. Here's how Plan B sabotages success. 1. It lowers your pain threshold. When you know there's an escape route, you're less willing to endure discomfort. The moment something gets hard, your brain says, why suffer when I can just switch gears? Suddenly, setbacks feel like signs to quit instead of challenges to overcome. 2. It reduces resourcefulness. Without a fallback, you become more creative, more strategic, and more determined. You find ways around obstacles because you have no choice. But when you know you can retreat to plan B, your brain stops searching for solutions. You stop asking, how can I make this work? What else can I try? Who can help me? Instead, you ask, is it time to give up yet? 3. It undermines confidence. Deep down, having a backup plan sends your brain a message. I don't believe in myself enough to fully commit. That subtle doubt chips away at your confidence. It makes you question your abilities, second-guess your decisions, and hesitate when action is needed most. But when you remove the option to retreat, you send a completely different signal. I trust myself. I will figure this out. I will succeed. And that belief alone can change everything. The power of total commitment. Let's look at a few real-world examples of how total commitment leads to breakthrough results. Elon Musk and SpaceX. When Elon Musk invested his own money into SpaceX, he didn't keep a comfortable job on the side. He burned his bridges. If SpaceX failed, he would be broke. That kind of pressure forced him to solve impossible problems. To push beyond conventional wisdom. To innovate relentlessly. And it worked. SpaceX became the first private company to launch a spacecraft into orbit, and later, to land rockets vertically. Did he have a plan B? No. But he had unstoppable drive. J.K. Rowling and Harry Potter. Before publishing Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling was living on welfare, recently divorced, and struggling with depression. She had no guaranteed income, no fallback career. She wrote her book in cafes while her baby slept. And she sent it to publishers over and over until someone finally said yes. No plan B. Just raw determination. Entrepreneurs who quit their jobs. Countless entrepreneurs report that their businesses only started growing after they quit their day jobs. Why? Because until then, they were dividing their energy. They weren't fully committed. They kept one foot in security and one in risk. Once they removed the escape hatch, they had no choice but to make it work. And they did. How to burn bridges, without burning yourself. Burning bridges doesn't mean making reckless decisions. It means removing psychological escape routes, not literal ones. Here are practical ways to eliminate Plan B thinking without risking everything. 1. Publicly commit. Announce your goal to friends, family, or even social media. Public accountability increases the cost of quitting. Examples. I'm launching a podcast and releasing episodes every week. I'm writing a book and publishing one chapter per month. I'm starting a business and launching by specific date. Once you've told people, backing out feels worse than pushing forward. 2. Set irreversible milestones. Make commitments that can't be undone easily. These force you to follow through. Examples. Sign a lease for office space. Book a speaking event or workshop. Buy a course domain and start building content. Hire a coach or mentor who expects progress. Each irreversible step locks you into action. 3. Remove temptations to retreat. Get rid of distractions or options that pull you away from your main goal. Examples. Delete apps that distract you from deep work. Unsubscribe from job boards if you're committed to entrepreneurship. Avoid conversations that reinforce doubt, maybe this isn't for you. Surround yourself only with signals that support your mission. 4. Build confidence through small wins. Total commitment doesn't require blind faith. It requires evidence. Every small win builds proof that you can do this. So celebrate each milestone, no matter how small. Each time you overcome a challenge, you strengthen your belief in yourself. Trust yourself to handle challenges as they come. One of the biggest fears that keeps people clinging to Plan B is uncertainty. They worry. What if I fail? What if I run out of money? What if this isn't the right path? But here's the reality. You don't need to know the entire path, you just need to take the next step. Life rarely goes according to plan. But the more committed you are to your goal, the more resourceful you become when obstacles arise. Problems become puzzles. Setbacks become lessons. Confusion becomes clarity. Because when you burn bridges, you unlock a deeper version of yourself, one that's resilient, adaptive, and unstoppable. Having a backup plan sounds wise, but often, it's just an excuse not to try your hardest. By eliminating fallback options, you force yourself to give your all. You tap into untapped potential. You become more focused, more creative, and more driven than ever before. So ask yourself, what is my plan B? Am I using it as a crutch? What would happen if I removed it? Then take the leap. Commit fully. Trust yourself to handle whatever comes next. Because when you burn the bridge behind you, you discover something incredible. You already have everything you need to succeed. Chapter 9: How to Remove Distractions in 30 Seconds. Quick tactics to regain focus and stay productive. Imagine this. You sit down to work on something important. You're ready to focus. You've got the right mindset. Then your phone buzzes. A notification pops up on your laptop. Someone walks into the room and starts talking. Suddenly, you're no longer working, you're reacting. Distractions don't always come in dramatic waves. They arrive as tiny ripples, small interruptions that seem harmless at first. But over time, they erode your focus, drain your energy, and break your momentum. And the worst part? It only takes a few seconds for a distraction to derail your entire workflow. But here's the good news. You can fight back in just 30 seconds or less. In this chapter, you'll learn how to recognize distractions the moment they appear, remove them fast, and return to deep work before they take control. Let's dive in. Why distractions are so dangerous. Your brain loves novelty. That's why it pays attention when your phone lights up. It perks up when a new email arrives. It gets curious when someone mentions your name, even if you're in the middle of something important. These distractions feel small, but their impact is huge. Research shows that it takes an average of 23 minutes to regain full focus after an interruption. And if you get distracted multiple times a day, you may never enter a state of deep work at all. That's why managing distractions isn't about willpower, it's about speed. The faster you act when a distraction appears, the more likely you are to stay productive. So here's the rule. If a distraction arises, remove it within 30 seconds, or it wins. Because once distraction lingers, it becomes habit. Step 1. Recognize the distraction immediately. Most people don't even realize they've been distracted until they look up and notice an hour has passed. To prevent that, train yourself to notice distractions as soon as they happen. Ask yourself, am I still focused on my main task? Did I just switch to something else without meaning to? Is this activity helping me move forward? Once you catch the distraction early, you can stop it before it spirals. Step 2. Remove the distraction in 30 seconds or less. Here are actionable techniques you can use immediately to eliminate distractions, fast. Turn off your phone. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb mode. Move it out of sight, place it in a drawer or another room. Use apps like Freedom, Forest, or Focus Mode to block distracting apps. Action time, 10 to 15 seconds. Close unnecessary tabs. Keep only the tabs related to your current task open. Use browser extensions like Cold Turkey or Stay Focused to block social media and news sites. Action time, 20 seconds max. Clear your physical space. Pick up clutter around your workspace. Organize your desk so only what you need is visible. Use noise-canceling headphones or white noise to reduce background noise. Action time, 30 seconds. Set a timer for focused work. Use the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. During those 25 minutes, commit to doing only one thing. Let the timer be your boss. Action time, 5 seconds to start. Schedule distraction time. If certain tasks or people constantly interrupt you, schedule specific times to handle them. For example, I will check emails at 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. I will respond to messages during my lunch break. Action time: decide once and stick to it. Step 3. Return to your task instantly. After removing the distraction, don't let your mind wander. Get back to work immediately. Use the 5-second rule again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Say it out loud if needed. Then jump back into your task before your brain finds another escape route. Control your environment before it controls you. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking they can resist distractions through sheer willpower. But willpower is weak compared to environment. Think of your workspace like a battlefield. If you leave weapons, distractions, lying around, you're setting yourself up to lose the war. Instead, design your environment for focus. Here's how. Create a focus zone. A dedicated space where you go only to do deep work. No TV. No snacks. No unnecessary devices. Just you, your work, and minimal distractions. Set boundaries with people. Let others know when you're unavailable. Use a sign on your door or a status message on your chat app: deep work in progress. Back in X minutes. Use sound strategically. Play instrumental music, ambient sounds, or lo-fi beats designed for concentration. Noise-canceling headphones help block out conversations and background noise. Build awareness through journaling. At the end of each day, write down: what distracted you most? How did you handle it? What can you change tomorrow? Awareness is the first step toward control. Distractions are inevitable, but surrendering to them is optional. The key to staying productive isn't avoiding distractions forever. It's learning how to respond to them quickly, before they steal your time, focus, and momentum. Remember, if you act within 30 seconds of a distraction arising, you win. You protect your time. You preserve your energy. You keep moving forward. So the next time something pulls you away from your work, don't hesitate. Take action. Remove the distraction. Return to the task. And keep building unstoppable momentum, one focused minute at a time. Chapter 10: The One-Touch Rule. Stop wasting time on small tasks. Have you ever opened your inbox and thought, "I'll deal with this later," only to leave it open all day? Or picked up a piece of paper, read it, set it down, and forgot about it? What about seeing a tiny task pop into your mind, like replying to a message or filling out a form, and thinking, "I'll do that after I finish this bigger thing," only to never get back to it? Welcome to the world of task looping. You keep touching the same small tasks over and over without completing them. And every time you do, they drain your energy, clutter your mind, and slow down your real progress. That's where the one-touch rule comes in. It's a simple but powerful principle. When you touch a task, make a decision: either do it now or delegate it. No lingering. In this chapter, you'll learn how to eliminate mental clutter, stop wasting time on small tasks, and build a more efficient workflow, one decision at a time. Let's dive in. What is the one-touch rule? The one-touch rule was popularized by productivity expert David Allen in his book Getting Things Done. It states, handle each piece of information or task only once. That means when you come across something that needs attention, whether it's an email, a note, a form, or even a thought, you decide what to do with it immediately. Don't file it away for later. Don't put it on a list and forget it. Don't let it hang in your mind like a cloud. Decide. Act. Finish. Because every time you revisit a task without resolving it, you waste energy and create friction in your workflow. Why small tasks drain your mental energy? Most people underestimate how much small tasks impact their focus and productivity. Here's why they're so dangerous. 1. They create mental clutter. Your brain treats unfinished tasks as open loops. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect. You remember uncompleted tasks more than completed ones. So if you have 10 tiny things hanging over your head, your brain keeps reminding you of them, even when you're trying to focus on something else. 2. they cause decision fatigue. Every time you look at a task and say, "I'll do this later," you're making a decision. And decisions, no matter how small, consume mental energy. Over time, these micro-decisions add up. You start feeling tired not because you did a lot, but because you kept deciding what to do instead of just doing it. 3. They slow down big progress. Think of your brain like a computer processor. If it's running too many background apps, everything slows down, including your ability to focus on important work. Small, unresolved tasks are those background processes. They may seem minor, but together, they consume bandwidth you could be using for deep, meaningful work. How to apply the one-touch rule. Now that you understand why small tasks are so costly, here's how to apply the rule in real life. Step 1. When you encounter a task, decide immediately. As soon as you see or think of a task, ask yourself, "Can I do this right now? Does it need to go on my calendar or to-do list? Should I delegate it to someone else? Is it unnecessary and can I delete it?" Make a decision. Then take action. Step 2. Use the 2-minute rule. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, do it right away. Examples: replying to a quick email, filing a document, signing and returning a form, adding an item to your grocery list, scheduling a meeting. Too often, we delay these tasks thinking we'll do them later. But later rarely comes. Instead, knock them out immediately. It actually saves time and mental space. Step 3. Triage everything else. For tasks that take longer than 2 minutes, schedule them if they require focus time. Delegate them if someone else can handle them. File them appropriately so you can find them when needed. Don't just leave them floating around your desk, inbox, or brain. Step 4. Keep your inbox empty. Apply the one-touch rule to your digital workspace. Every email you open should be replied to, archived, deleted, or scheduled. Never leave your inbox half done. A clear inbox isn't just clean, it's a sign of control over your workload. Real-life examples of the one-touch rule in action. Let's look at how this rule works in everyday situations. Email management. Instead of opening emails and leaving them unread or marked as to follow up, process each one immediately. Reply if it takes less than 2 minutes. Delete or unsubscribe if it's irrelevant. Schedule a time to address it if it requires more effort. Forward to someone else if delegation makes sense. Result: a clean inbox and 0 lingering tasks. To-do list optimization. Instead of collecting endless to-do items, use the one-touch rule to filter them. If it can be done in 2 minutes, do it now. If it needs planning, add it to your calendar. If it's not essential, delete it. Result: a manageable list of actionable items. Physical workspace. When sorting through physical mail or documents, open each envelope once. Take immediate action, pay the bill, scan and save, or toss it. Don't stack papers on your desk for later review. Result: a clutter-free workspace that supports focus. You don't need more time. You need better habits around how you handle the time you already have. The one-touch rule is not about perfection, it's about efficiency. It's about making faster decisions, reducing mental clutter, and building a habit of finishing what you start. By applying this rule consistently, you'll notice less stress, more clarity, higher productivity, greater control over your time. And best of all, you'll free up more mental space for the work that truly matters. Chapter 11: The Willpower Myth. Why you don't need more discipline. You've probably been told this before. If you want to succeed, you just need more willpower. But what if that advice was not only misleading, but actually working against you? Here's the truth. Willpower is like a muscle, it gets tired with use. Every time you say no to temptation, force yourself to work when you don't feel like it, or push through resistance without support, you're draining your mental energy. And eventually, you run out. That's why people who rely solely on discipline often burn out. They start strong, full of motivation and good intentions. but as their willpower weakens under daily pressure, they fall back into old patterns. So if willpower isn't the answer, what is? Systems. Instead of trying to force yourself to be disciplined all the time, you design your life so that good habits happen automatically, even when motivation is gone. In this chapter, we'll explore why willpower fails, and how systems succeed. How to build routines that make action effortless. Why environment matters more than effort. And how to automate good habits so they stick. Let's break the cycle of burnout and replace it with sustainable progress. The problem with willpower. Let's start with a simple question. When do you usually fail at sticking to your goals? Is it when you're fresh and energized in the morning? Or is it later in the day, after a long meeting, after dealing with stress, after resisting temptation for hours? Most people fail not because they lack willpower, but because they expect too much from it. Psychologists call this concept ego depletion. It refers to the idea that every decision you make throughout the day drains your self-control. By the time evening rolls around, you're exhausted, not just physically, but mentally. And that's when bad habits win. You skip the workout. You eat the junk food. You scroll endlessly instead of working. You procrastinate until midnight. It's not that you don't want to be disciplined. You just ran out of the mental strength to keep fighting. That's the problem with relying on willpower alone. Systems over willpower. Here's a better approach. Don't fight temptation, remove it. Instead of forcing yourself to be strong every day, create a system where you don't have to try so hard. Think of it like building a riverbank for water to flow. Once the structure is in place, the current follows naturally, without struggle. A system is a set of consistent actions, environments, and habits that guide your behavior in the right direction, even when you're tired, distracted, or unmotivated. Here's the difference between goals, habits, and systems. Goal: I want to write a book. Habit: I write 500 words a day. System: I open my laptop first thing in the morning and write for 30 minutes. Goals tell you where you want to go. Habits show you how to get there. Systems ensure you stay on track, regardless of mood. Build systems that support consistent action. Here's how to stop relying on willpower and start designing your life for success. 1. Design your environment. Your surroundings shape your behavior far more than you realize. Want to eat healthier? Don't rely on willpower to avoid junk food. Remove it from your kitchen. Stock up on healthy snacks instead. Want to focus better? Don't force yourself to resist distractions. Turn off notifications, block social media, and create a distraction-free workspace. Want to wake up early? Don't force yourself to drag out of bed. Set your alarm across the room. Lay out your clothes the night before. Small changes in your environment can eliminate the need for constant self-control. 2. Create rituals that trigger action. Rituals are powerful tools for consistency. They signal to your brain that it's time to switch modes, from rest to work, from distraction to focus. Examples: a morning coffee routine before writing. A 5-minute stretch before starting work. Lighting a candle before studying. Putting on noise-canceling headphones before deep work. Over time, these rituals become automatic triggers for productivity. 3. Automate good habits. Make the right choice the easy choice. Use technology and planning to remove friction. Use autopay for bills so you never forget. Schedule emails to send at a specific time. Set recurring calendar events for important tasks. Use habit tracking apps to remind you of daily goals. The more you automate, the less you have to think, and the more likely you are to follow through. 4. Pre-commit to decisions. One of the biggest drains on willpower is indecision. Avoid making last-minute choices by pre-committing to decisions ahead of time. Examples: decide what you'll wear tomorrow before going to bed. Plan your meals for the week on Sunday. Commit to showing up at a certain time for work or exercise, no matter how you feel. Pre-commitment removes the burden of deciding in the moment. Automate good habits to reduce mental effort. The ultimate goal is to reach a point where your good habits require zero mental effort. You don't have to decide whether to brush your teeth, you just do it. You don't debate whether to put on shoes before going outside, you automatically grab them. Eventually, you want your productive behaviors to feel the same way. How? Through repetition and reinforcement. Every time you follow your system, you strengthen the habit. Every time you show up, even when you don't feel like it, you prove to yourself that you're capable. And over time, those small, repeated actions become automatic. You don't need more willpower. You need better systems. Because willpower fades. Motivation disappears. Discipline wears thin. But a well-designed system keeps you moving forward, even when you're tired, stressed, or uninspired. So stop pushing yourself harder. Start designing smarter. Build an environment that supports your goals. Create rituals that trigger action. Automate good habits so they stick. And watch how effortlessly you begin to achieve what once felt impossible. Chapter 12, The Never Miss Twice Rule. Breaking the cycle of procrastination. Let's be real. No matter how disciplined you become, no matter how strong your systems are, and no matter how clear your goals are, you will slip up. It happens to everyone. You miss a workout. You skip a day of writing. You procrastinate on an important task. You break your own rule. And in that moment, something dangerous can happen. All or nothing thinking kicks in. You tell yourself, I already failed today, I might as well give up until tomorrow. I missed my streak. I'm not consistent anymore. I've ruined everything. I'll start over next week. Sound familiar? That's when small slips turn into long-term setbacks. One missed day becomes 2. 2 becomes 5. 5 becomes a month. But here's the good news. One slip doesn't mean failure. It only becomes failure if you let it happen again. That's where the never miss twice rule comes in. This chapter will teach you how to recover quickly from setbacks, maintain momentum, and build unstoppable consistency, one day at a time. Let's dive in. Why missing once is okay, but missing twice is dangerous. The human brain loves patterns. Once you establish a habit, whether it's going to the gym, writing daily, or waking up early, it starts to feel normal. You begin to expect it from yourself. But the moment you break that pattern, even once, your brain notices. And if you break it again, your brain starts rewriting the story. You don't really stick to things. You always give up after a few days. You're not the kind of person who follows through. Suddenly, your identity begins to shift, and with it, your behavior. That's why the never miss twice rule is so powerful. It gives you permission to be human, but not to fall into self-sabotage. Here's how it works. If you miss a day, do whatever it takes to show up the very next day. Don't miss twice. Because missing once is just life. Missing twice is a habit forming. Recovery is more important than perfection. Most people believe success comes from never failing. But the truth is, success comes from how fast you recover when you do fail. Think of progress like a car journey. If you take a wrong turn, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means you need to correct your route and keep going. The same applies to habits, goals, and personal growth. Every time you miss a step, ask yourself, what happened? Was this a one-time slip, or a sign of a deeper issue? How can I make sure this doesn't happen again tomorrow? Then get back on track immediately. Because the faster you recover, the less damage the slip causes. And the more resilient you become. How to apply the never miss twice rule. Applying this rule is simple, but powerful. Here's how to use it in real life. 1. Accept that slips happen. You're not perfect. You won't be consistent every single day. And that's okay. Life gets in the way. Fatigue sets in. Distractions pop up. Instead of beating yourself up, acknowledge the slip and move forward. 2. Make immediate correction your priority. When you miss a day, your first thought shouldn't be about what went wrong yesterday. It should be, how do I make sure I show up today? Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for next week. Don't wait for motivation to return. Just show up. Even if it's small. Even if you're tired. Even if you don't feel like it. Because showing up, even weekly, is better than skipping again. 3. Reset your streak immediately. If you use a habit tracker, don't erase your past streak. Leave it visible as a reminder of what you're capable of. But start a new streak right away. Each new streak builds resilience. Each new streak proves to yourself that you can bounce back. Each new streak strengthens your identity as someone who shows up, no matter what. 4. Reflect without judgment. Ask yourself, was this slip due to fatigue? Was there a lack of planning? Did I overcommit and burn out? Was this just a rare off day? Use the insight to improve, not to punish yourself. Because reflection leads to growth. Shame leads to quitting. Momentum builds resilience and consistency. Here's the secret no one tells you about consistency. Momentum beats motivation. The more days you string together, the harder it becomes to stop. Your brain starts to resist breaking the chain. Your identity shifts. Your confidence grows. And when you finally do slip up, you want to get back on track because being off rhythm feels unnatural. That's the power of momentum. And the best part? Momentum isn't built by never missing, it's built by never missing twice. Each time you recover quickly, you strengthen your ability to stay consistent in the future. Each time you bounce back, you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you thought. And each time you follow the never miss twice rule, you build a stronger foundation for lasting change. You don't have to be perfect to be successful. You just have to be persistent. The never miss twice rule teaches you how to handle setbacks without letting them derail your progress. It helps you recover quickly, stay resilient, and build unstoppable momentum, one day at a time. So the next time you miss a day, don't panic. Don't beat yourself up. Don't wait for the perfect moment to come back. Just show up tomorrow. And remember, one slip doesn't define you. What you do after does. Chapter 13, How to Stop Overthinking and Take Instant Action. Break free from analysis paralysis. You've probably been here before. You want to start something important. Launching a new project. Making a big decision. Writing that first draft. Asking for help. Starting your own business. But instead of taking action, you get stuck in your head. What if I fail? Am I doing this right? What if I look foolish? What if there's a better way? Your brain starts spinning in circles, chasing clarity that never seems to arrive. And so, you do nothing. Welcome to analysis paralysis, the trap of overthinking that masquerades as preparation but actually keeps you stuck. In this chapter, you'll learn how to break free from overthinking, stop waiting for perfect clarity, and take instant action even when things feel uncertain. Because here's the truth. Clarity doesn't come before action, it comes because of it. Let's dive in. Why overthinking is just procrastination in disguise. Most people think of procrastination as laziness or poor time management. But the real form of procrastination is often more subtle and far more dangerous. It shows up as endless planning, perfectionism disguised as preparation, constant research without execution, revising ideas instead of testing them. Overthinking is simply procrastination dressed up as thinking. You tell yourself, I'm just being strategic. I want to make sure everything is perfect. I need more information before I begin. But what you're really doing is avoiding discomfort. Because action brings risk. Action brings uncertainty. Action forces you to face failure, not just imagine it. So instead of moving forward, you stay trapped in your head, safe, comfortable, and going nowhere. Focus only on the first step, nothing more. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to plan the entire journey before taking the first step. They want to know every possible outcome, the best possible strategy, all the risks ahead of time. A guarantee of success. But that's not how growth works. Real progress happens in layers. You don't need full clarity to begin, you only need enough clarity to take the first step. Here's a simple rule. If you can't see the whole path, just take the next obvious action. That's it. You don't need to know where the road ends, you just need to start walking. This approach has 3 powerful benefits. It breaks down overwhelm. Instead of staring at a mountain, you focus on the first stone. It builds momentum. Once you move, your brain begins solving problems automatically. It gives you real data. Instead of guessing what might happen, you get real-world feedback. And once you have real feedback, you can adjust, improve, and keep going. Mistakes are lessons, not failures. One of the main reasons people overthink is fear of making mistakes. They believe, if I mess up, I'll regret it forever. One wrong move could ruin everything. Better to wait than to make a mistake. But here's what they forget. Mistakes are not failures, they are lessons. Every time you act, even if things don't go perfectly, you gain valuable insight. What works? What doesn't? What needs adjusting? What you didn't consider before. That kind of knowledge is priceless, and it's only available through action. Think of it like learning to ride a bike. No amount of studying will teach you balance. You have to fall. You have to wobble. You have to make mistakes. Only then do you finally ride. The same applies to every goal in life. You don't learn by thinking, you learn by doing. And each small mistake gets you closer to mastery. How to break the cycle of overthinking. Now that you understand why overthinking holds you back, let's talk about how to stop it, instantly. 1. Use the 5-second rule. When you catch yourself overthinking, pause and say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Then take the smallest possible action. Open the document. Send the email. Make the call. Write the first sentence. Motion kills overthinking. 2. Ask, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? This question cuts through doubt and reconnects you with your true desire. More often than not, you already know what you should do, you're just afraid of the consequences. Answer honestly. Then do it anyway. 3. Set a time limit for decision-making. Give yourself a strict time limit to make a decision. I have 10 minutes to decide. I'll pick option A if I haven't decided in 5 minutes. Artificial deadlines force action and prevent endless loops of indecision. 4. Write down your thoughts. Sometimes, overthinking is just mental noise bouncing around your head. Get it out by writing it down. Journaling helps organize your thoughts and often reveals the answer was inside you all along. 5. Take a micro-action. Don't try to solve everything at once. Just do one tiny thing. Draft an outline. Talk to one person. Research for 10 minutes. Sketch a rough version. Once you start, the next steps become clear. Overthinking doesn't protect you, it prevents you from growing. It tricks you into believing that clarity comes before action. But the opposite is true. Clarity follows movement. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. You don't need to eliminate all risk. You don't need to be 100% ready. You just need to take the first step. And once you do, the fog begins to lift. You start seeing clearly. You begin making progress. You build confidence. And most importantly, you stop letting overthinking control your life. Chapter 14. The secret of people who always get things done. Consistent action is the real superpower. Have you ever looked at someone who always seems to get things done and wondered, how do they stay so productive? Are they just born with more willpower? Do they never feel tired or unmotivated? The truth might surprise you. Successful people aren't luckier. They're not smarter. They don't have some secret formula or magical time management trick. What they do have is something far more powerful. They show up every day. Not perfectly. Not always with high energy. Not because they feel inspired, but because they've made consistency their habit, their mindset, and ultimately, their superpower. In this final chapter, we'll reveal the real secret behind people who always seem to make progress. We'll explore how small steps compound into big results, why showing up matters more than feeling ready, and how anyone can adopt the same mindset that drives unstoppable action. Let's uncover the truth about what really makes high achievers stand out, and how you can become one too. Consistent action beats occasional bursts of effort. Most people chase intensity. They work hard for a few days, or even a few weeks, then burn out. Then they rest, reset, and try again. But they never build lasting momentum. That's like sprinting in short bursts but never learning how to run a full race. Real success doesn't come from dramatic efforts or occasional bursts of motivation. It comes from showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. Think of it like compound interest in finance. $1 invested regularly over time grows exponentially. The same principle applies to personal growth. A little effort, repeated daily, becomes unstoppable over time. One page written every day becomes a book. One conversation leads to a relationship that changes your life. One workout builds strength, confidence, and discipline. Consistency turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Show up even when you don't feel like it. Here's a truth most people avoid. You won't always feel like doing the work. There will be days when you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. Days when nothing feels easy. Days when motivation is nowhere to be found. And yet, the people who get things done still show up. They open the document. They make the call. They sit down and write. They go to the gym, even if they only do 10 minutes. They don't wait for inspiration. They don't need permission from their mood. They simply act. Because they understand something crucial. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates motivation. Motivation leads to results. So instead of waiting to feel ready, they choose to begin. And once they start, the magic happens. Confidence grows with every completed task. One of the biggest myths about confidence is that you need it before you take action. But the opposite is true. Confidence isn't a prerequisite, it's a result. Every time you complete a task, even a small one, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Each completed task builds self-trust, competence, resilience, belief in your own potential. Over time, those small wins stack up into unshakable self-confidence. Suddenly, you're not afraid to take on new challenges. You're not held back by doubt. You know that no matter how hard something seems, you'll find a way through. Because you always have. That kind of confidence isn't given. It's earned, one action at a time. How anyone can adopt this mindset. You don't need special talent or unlimited willpower to become someone who gets things done. You just need to shift your mindset and commit to a few simple principles. Focus on daily habits, not big goals. Goals give you direction. Habits give you results. Instead of obsessing over the finish line, focus on the rhythm that gets you there. Show up. Do the work. Repeat. Build systems that support you. Design your environment, schedule, and rituals to support consistent action, even when you're tired or distracted. Make it easier to do the right thing. Celebrate small wins. Every completed task deserves recognition. Acknowledge your progress. Celebrate your effort. Reinforce the behavior you want to continue. Embrace the long game. Success isn't built overnight. It's built through persistence, patience, and perseverance. Stop chasing instant results. Start building habits that last. Remember, you're becoming someone new. Every action you take is shaping who you're becoming. Are you becoming someone who follows through? Someone who shows up? Someone who gets things done? Yes, if you keep choosing action over hesitation. You now hold the keys to unstoppable action. You've learned how to beat procrastination, overcome hesitation, and build momentum. You've discovered how to rewire your brain, design better systems, and develop an identity that supports progress. Now, it's time to put it all together. Remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. And consistency is a choice, not a personality trait. So whether you're working toward a big dream or simply trying to live with more intention and purpose, remember this. The person who always gets things done isn't someone else. It's you, when you decide to show up. Now go out and do it. Chapter 15, The 5-Minute End-of-Day Review. How daily reflection builds long-term growth. You've built the habits. You've beaten procrastination, taken action before your brain talks you out of it, and developed unstoppable momentum. But there's one final piece that turns consistent effort into lasting growth. Daily reflection. Most people go through life on autopilot, reacting to what happens instead of intentionally shaping their days. They work hard, but without clarity or direction. And over time, they end up going in circles. But the most successful people do something simple, but incredibly powerful. Every night, they spend just 5 minutes reviewing their day. They ask themselves, what worked well today? What didn't go as planned? What can I improve tomorrow? This short ritual brings clarity, focus, and intentionality to everything they do. In this chapter, you'll learn how to use the 5-minute end-of-day review to reflect on your progress, identify patterns, adjust course daily, prepare for a more productive tomorrow. Let's dive in. Why daily reflection is the secret weapon of high achievers. You might think that success comes from working harder than everyone else. But the real difference between average performers and high achievers isn't just effort, it's awareness. High performers don't just do more, they learn faster. They understand what's working and what's not. They adjust quickly. They make small improvements every day that compound into massive results over time. That's the power of reflection. Think of it like this. Action builds momentum. Reflection builds direction. Without reflection, you're running full speed, but you might be heading in the wrong direction. With reflection, you slow down just enough to make sure you're moving toward what truly matters. And that makes all the difference. The 5-minute end-of-day review, a simple framework. Here's how to implement the 5-minute end-of-day review, a powerful habit that takes almost no time but delivers outsized results. Set aside 5 minutes at the end of each day, ideally right before bed, and ask yourself these 3 questions. 1. What went well today? Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. Did you show up even when you didn't feel like it? Did you take action despite hesitation? Did you complete a task that once would have overwhelmed you? Recognizing progress reinforces positive behavior and builds confidence. Examples. I started writing my book. I made the call I've been avoiding. I stayed focused despite distractions. Write it down. Say it out loud. Own it. 2. What didn't go as planned? Be honest, but not harsh. This isn't about self-criticism. It's about awareness. Where did you hesitate? Where did you get distracted? What held you back? Understanding your setbacks helps you avoid repeating them. Examples. I got stuck overthinking and never started. I let social media eat my morning. I skipped my workout because I waited too long. Just identifying the problem is half the battle. 3. What will I do differently tomorrow? Now it's time to turn insight into action. Based on what worked and what didn't, decide on one small change or priority for tomorrow. Make it specific. Make it actionable. Examples. Tomorrow, I'll start writing first thing in the morning. I'll turn off notifications during deep work hours. I'll schedule my workout before work so I don't skip it. This gives you a clear starting point and sets the tone for better progress. How this habit transforms your life. At first glance, spending 5 minutes reflecting may seem trivial. But here's what happens when you make this a daily habit. You gain clarity. Instead of letting your days blur together, you begin to see patterns. You notice what drains your energy and what fuels your momentum. You improve every day. Each review is like a mini course correction. Over time, these small adjustments lead to massive improvements. You build awareness. You stop repeating mistakes. You start recognizing what works for you personally. You strengthen accountability. When you know you'll reflect on your day, you're more likely to act with intention. You accelerate growth. You move from doing things randomly to doing them deliberately. From busy work to meaningful progress. And that's where real transformation happens. You now have everything you need to build unstoppable momentum. You've learned how to beat procrastination, take instant action, and stay consistent even when motivation fades. Now, you've added the final tool that ensures your growth continues for years to come. The 5-minute end-of-day review. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning, improving, and showing up better tomorrow than you did today. So tonight, before you close your eyes, open your notebook or journal. Ask yourself, what went well? What didn't go as planned? What will I do differently tomorrow? Then sleep knowing that you're not just living your life, you're shaping it. And that makes all the difference. Conclusion: become unstoppable. You've reached the end of this book, but really, you're just beginning. Because everything you've read, learned, and reflected on has been leading to one moment: the decision to act. Procrastination isn't a flaw. It's not a sign that you're lazy or broken. It's simply a habit, one that was formed over time, often without you even realizing it. And just like any habit, it can be changed. You now have the tools to do just that. The 5-second rule to beat hesitation. The identity shift that makes action effortless. Systems that replace willpower with consistency. Reflection practices that accelerate growth. These are not just strategies, they are building blocks of an unstoppable mindset. Your future is built today. There's a powerful truth at the heart of this book. Your future is not determined by talent, luck, or timing. It's built by what you choose to do today. Every great achievement started as a single step. Every habit was once a choice. Every success began with someone deciding not to wait. That someone can be you. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need more motivation. You just need to begin. Now is the time. Not tomorrow. Not when things settle down. Not once I figure out the perfect plan. Now. Keep building momentum. As you close this book, I encourage you to take one small action right away. Something so simple it feels almost silly. Open that document you've been avoiding. Write one sentence. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Say, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Then move. Because momentum builds from motion. And once you start, the rest will follow. Thank you for reading. Now go out there and become unstoppable.